Well, Les, first of all, welcome to St. Louis. I'm sure this is kind of the culmination of a lot of things, a lot of years in this league. What are your emotions on a day like today?
Day like today, it's personally, it's a dream come true. I think I said it in the press conference. I grew up in a small town in Alabama. Used to skip school to watch a draft. Feels passionate about the NFL and how they drafted, and to actually get the call to be a steward, of an NFL franchise. It's hard to put in words, but it's a surreal thing, and I will say it's an exciting moment. I'm eager to get started, and I'm eager. I think what happens is, as soon as you get the call and you are the general manager of St. Louis Rams, your next thought is, okay, let's go succeed, let's go thrive. So you have a small window of, okay, this was cool. Now you go, there's responsibility now, and I think you have that driving edge. Hey, let's go succeed, let's go thrive.
Let's go back to those days when you were skipping school. Apparently this was something that's been in your mind a long time, finally reaching this and being a guy who is making decisions for an NFL franchise.
I can honestly say this: when you're skipping school with the draft in 8th grade, 9th grade, you're not really ever dreaming of being a general manager. Okay, you don't. I don't think you've thought that big yet. But I think what happens is football has been a fabric of my life since 7th grade. My mom was a single mom, so we didn't have a lot. She worked hard, so that I could have a lot, or at least enough, and really worked hard to get me to where I am today. But I can say this: the big part of the whole deal is starting in 7th grade is when I first played football. And since 7th grade, I haven't missed a season of football. So it's a fabric of your life, and you just want to go succeed in that.
You mentioned growing up in a family where you see someone have an example of somebody who's a grinder, who works really hard. That's a word you hear a lot about yourself in terms of the way you like to scout and your approach to this. Is that come from your mom? Is that where you learned?
I would definitely. I would say there's got to be either genetic or sociologically, because I did see her, really work really hard to not make a lot of money, so that I could be here today. So I think I saw that, and also it's probably genetic that she did it, and not everybody works hard, but it's something that I call it grit. I will say this: I always tell people, maybe not the smartest in the world, but I can figure out, what needs to be done to be successful. And I like to say I'll wake up sprinting. It means I'll wake up early, and I'll strive for excellence at a rapid pace. So, and that's a little bit of the work ethic that you may hear. And in this business, let's go this: to be well prepared, you're going to have to work hard. In that there's real time involved in watching game film, evaluating players. It's not something to get it right consistently. Yes, you got instincts, you got experience, you can turn on a tape and get a feel right then of where this thing may go. But to make sure that decision is correct, to make sure it's superior, you better have spent some time watching multiple games of that player, not just from this year, but the year before, maybe even the year before. And that does take time, and that's where a little bit of the grind comes. And if you do that, you can make sound decisions. You shouldn't miss many times at all.
You've been in this league a long time. Who are some of the other people that have kind of influenced you along the way, maybe some of their tactics and things that you implement into your approach to scouting?
Since I got in, I started with Tom Coughlin. Came to Atlanta with Ron Hill, who interviewed here. He took me from Jacksonville to Atlanta. Dan Reeves was there. I've been under Bobby Beathard as a consultant. So been under Rich McKay, Thomas Dimitroff. He brings the Bill Belichick New England philosophy into it. So there's a lot of Hall of Fame difference maker type, people in this business that I've been under. So I think you get a culmination of that. You learn what not to do, and then you learn what to do.
You've been in the league a long time. Not that you're an old man by any means, but do you ever wonder if
I will say this: I'm not 37. I've been seeing that 37 going on out there. I'm not 37. 41.
Okay, but as you ever wonder if the point's going to come? I mean, you stay in one place for a long time, and you wonder, man, am I ever going to get my shot, or do you just kind of keep your head down and keep grinding?
Now, I will say you keep grinding. I guess I've been successful early, and you were younger then, and you really weren't thinking of this. then you go through some hard times, and then I can say the last 4 years, and let's call it, that's when I'm probably about 37, 38, 39, 40. The last 4 years when Thomas and Mike came in, and we turned, let's call it in 07. If you look at the Falcons, Vic and the incident occurred, and now we're in shambles. We're a 4-12 team, but to have a new regime come in, you earn their trust, not only survive but thrive in their regime, and are instrumental in some of the decisions that they make as a lieutenant, at least with your input, your advice. I think you start building a foundation of, you know what, I'm ready to do this. I can do this. And I think I wouldn't want it any other way. I wouldn't want to get it when I was too young, get it when I'm too old. I wanted to get it right now is a good time. And like I said, 17 years, 16 seasons. Like I said, a lot of good decisions and some not so good, and you learn from those. And I think what that does builds a foundation that, you know what, you're ready to go grab success, but you're also ready for the wind that blows. And I think that's the experience part.
The paradigm has shifted a little bit now because people have to earn your trust a little bit being in a position. When you build this department and you look at the scouting department, what are things that you like in scouts and people who were once in the position that you once held?
Here's what I do want our scouts to do. We'll speak the same language. We'll be consistent. When I mean speak the same language, when we describe a trait of a player, I do want them to know that when they use good, we know what good means. When they use very good, we know what very good means. When they use above average, they use that. So you got to be able to speak the same language. What I'm really gonna demand of our personnel department is I want them to know our team, and then whatever role they're in, whether it's pro scouting, college scouting, whatever it is, the player they bring to the table, or we're asking them about, they should know our team, what player that player is either going to take the place of or not, and why. I don't want the scouting department to tell me what some of the pundits can tell me, that this guy's this, and this, or this, and this, or he may go here, or he may go there. I need for them to tell me that this player right here helps us win division championships consistently. And this is why. This is who he replaces, or this is who we pair him with. But that's what I'm going to ask him to do.
And one of the things in doing research on you that I consistently see pop up is that you're a convicted person. You always are very strong in your feelings about certain things. Is that something you want to see too in your scouts? Is people who will say,
yes,
this is my opinion, and it's okay to disagree?
Yes, and I'm not, hey, we've all been wrong, but I think when you see that person who's convicted, you believe them. And I think you can't be convicted unless you're well prepared and you're actually convicted. I've never seen false bravado conviction before. Usually you can read that. So that's what you like. And what that does is, if we have 500 plus players to choose from, we need to narrow that down. I'll be honest with you, all the drafts I've been a part of, usually you get your top 100 players. You can usually draft from those, even in the 7th round, because your 99th player may not be this team's 99th. So what we have to do is make sure those 100 players, we take that board from 500 to, let's say, 100 we really, really like. We want to know, do they fit our scheme? Are they going to help the St. Louis Rams start winning consistently? And that's what I'm going to ask them. And they got to, all things considered, will they fit? Do they want to be a part of something bigger? They want to be a teammate, not a selfish player, a teammate. So I'm going to ask them all things considered. Now I may ask them some questions. Take intangibles out, talent-wise, where does he fit? You know, I can separate some things like that when we ask questions. But
getting into players a little bit, just kind of your philosophy on building through the draft. What are some things, just maybe a couple characteristics that you're always looking for, things that need to be there, or you're not going to draft a guy?
I always think that from an intangible standpoint, I'd like for you to be urgent, to play urgent, to have a passion to win football games. Usually when you're not, it's hard. Usually when you're not, the organization's not going to spend energy to get that out of the player. I think I love an instinctive football player. I love a tough football player. And I actually like a football player who's, wants to be a part of something bigger. Now, from that standpoint, I do think that you got to have a certain skill set.
Give us an idea of what the next few months will be like for you, just maybe an average day, and what time you wake up and start grinding tape and all that kind of stuff.
Well, I will say this. Here's what I've learned in my regime changes is, and this is going to be a different chair to sit in, but I will say I think we need to. I will focus on the big rocks, and that's going to be player acquisition, free agency, learning our team, free agency, draft. So that's really going to be my day. Now, if I have to come do this, that's going to be something I'm, wasn't doing when I was in Atlanta. So, but what I'll do is, I think what happens is if you focus on the big rocks during a regime change, there's a lot of moving parts. Okay, we have, my system's different than the system that was here. Okay, but you know what? There's one of me, there's one of Jeff, and it's easier for us to adapt to this system than them adapt to us. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, hey, we're gonna evaluate players. And if we make the right decisions in this year's draft, free agency, it'll build a foundation for the future. And we'll worry about the logistics and the processes, after the draft.
Well, we'll try not to take up too much of your time. Congratulations and thanks for the time.
Hey,
today.
thank you very much.